Okay. So looks like most of you are ready except for Jonathan. All of you are ready except for Jonathan. Jonathan, you there? Right, okay. I was just wondering. Okay, I don't know if he's there or not. I can't hear Jonathan. So see, it just gives you this option under right below the close project about closing unrelated projects. Maybe Jonathan, maybe Jonathan was having some internet issues, quite possible. That's why I think he had to disconnect and will probably connect back. So even yesterday, I was having a bit of issue in the afternoon as Spectrum was working in the backyard on their bots. Hopefully it was restored before the class, so I was a happy camper. Okay, so let's do a quick recap here that everybody is here. How many types of loops are there in Java?
Three.
Three, okay. And what are they?
A while loop, do while loop, and a for loop.
Okay. What is the difference between do while and while?
The do while is a post test while the while is a pre-test.
Okay. Which is more efficient
Do while,
and why?
because it tested before running it, so it uses less.
You make one less test. Okay. What is for loop more famous for or mostly used for?
When you know how many times it's going to run.
Very good. Okay. When you know how many times a loop will run, what do you call such loops? When you know exactly how many times the loop will run, what do you call those loops?
I'm not sure.
Count
Remember that one.
controlled.
Count control.
Controlled. Okay. And when you do not know how many times the loop will run, but you know the loop will terminate, what do you call those loops? Event controlled. So you write an event and you know it will terminate on that event, but you do not know after how many times. Both of them are finite loops, they're not infinite. You can probably create an infinite loop with a count control if you do not put the correct conditional statement or if you do not increment. What is a nested loop?
It's when there's a loop that has a loop inside of it.
Very good. Okay. And can you run an inner loop without outer loop?
No.
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 No. Okay, cool. Now let's work a little bit more with loops. So let's create a little class call test loops 1 with a public static void main. Is this a valid loop?
Yes.
And I did not put any curly braces around the body, and it's still a valid loop.
Yep, because it's only the one line of
Very
code.
good, very good. Okay. So now when I run this, it will show me output 1 through 10, a very, very simple program. Okay. Now, let me put curly braces around and run it again. It works still fine, right? Now, let's write an if condition inside a loop. If I is completely divisible by 2, only then print the I. What do you think? What numbers will be printed?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Very good. Okay. So here is an if condition inside a loop. This could very well be written by using I plus equals to 2. No big deal. Same stuff, right? Okay. Now, let's change an output. Even number, else, and odd number. So now with every number, I get to see it's an even number or an odd number. Now I want to skip the loop iteration. Let me do it here rather. Skip the loop iteration for I equals to 3. So if I equals to 3, continue. So you know what this will do? This will skip to line 14 and will then jump to line 5. Okay, so it will just simply ignore the rest of the body of the loop. And notice when you look at your output, number 3 does not get printed. Do you guys learn about this in C#? I don't know. Just ask.
I
No.
don't remember.
I can't
yeah.
remember. I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. Now, you can also terminate the loop before it reaches its final value, which in our case would be 10. So if I equals to 5, then break. So this terminates the loop, and numbers 6 through 10 will never print. Or I should say numbers 5 through 10, because I am terminating before I print 5. So now when I run this program, notice 1 was printed, 2 was printed, 3 was skipped, 4 was printed, and 5 terminated the loop. Okay, any question about any of this stuff? Okay. Now let's go to our next class here. And we will create an event controlled loop. 1. Event controlled loop. So now the user accepts the number of guests. However, now I need to make sure, I need to check to make sure the guest count is between 10 and 250. If it is not, then ask to re-enter. If I were to do this with a while loop, I would have to do the process twice. Let me do it with while loop. Then I will improve this process with do while loop. So while guests is either less than 10 or guests is over 250, please re-enter and keep accepting the value. Now let's run this to make sure that this piece works. If I enter 8, it tells me please re-enter. If I enter 300, it keeps telling me to re-enter until and unless I enter a valid count. Then it accepts it and doesn't ask me anymore. So notice, even though I said the range is valid between 10 through 250, so anything outside of that would be invalid. That's why I ORed the two conditions, because it cannot be less than 10 at the same time it's over 250. Everybody got this? Give me a green check because the thumbs up disappear. Thank you. That way it'll be easier for me to see if everybody got it. because I'm about to comment out some of the code and give you an alternate solution. So that's why I want to make sure that everybody's done with the first one before I can move on to the second one. Awesome. Okay. Did I teach you guys how to comment a code of block without using a keyboard?
I don't think so.
Is
Okay.
it Control-7?
So if I were to comment this entire code block, under the source, yep, you have these shortcuts, and the very top first four are to toggle comments, to add a block comment, to remove a block comment, and to generate element comment. Okay, so we can add a block comment there, and that will automatically make the entire block. Okay, if you want to use a keyboard shortcut, that will be Control Shift and a slash, / because it's leaning forward. Control Shift / and Control Shift / will remove the comments. Right above this, we will write a do while solution for the same problem. So let's declare the number of guests ahead of time. And remember, do while is a post condition loop, right? So do while is a post condition loop. Therefore, the loop condition will be checked in the end. That means I do not need to accept it ahead of time. I do not need to accept it ahead of time and repeat myself again. Like that's basically what I did inside the while loop approach. I wrote to accept the output first, and then I repeated myself again inside the body. Yeah, it's probably okay. It's better. And then I had to repeat myself inside the body of the loop. So you don't have to do anything like that with the do while loop. In do while loop, because it's a post condition loop, I could very well enter into the loop and then ask the user to enter a value. And if the user's value can then be tested, I mean, like can be entered in the variable and can then be tested. So I could just shorten my entire logic right here. However, there is one problem I know some of you might have already noticed, that when I am entering it again, it is not saying re-enter. It is still saying enter. And we can easily fix that problem without a problem. But let's first get this piece done. So most of this is copy pasted from the previous loop. That'll make your life much easier than having to retype everything. Do you guys remember this operator from last week? Question mark, colon.
Remember us going over it, but I'm not remembering what it means.
It's a conditional operator. What it does is it allows you to work like an if condition. And if the condition is true, it basically has a condition over here. If the condition is true, it takes the first value. If the condition is false, it takes the second value. I don't remember which question where we solved that problem. Here you go. We checked last week we checked if the number is completely divisible by 2. If the condition is true, we will print even number. Otherwise, we will print odd number. You guys remember it now?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So we can use something like this right here. So I could have, if range is followed, I could display the word enter. If range is not followed, I can use the word re-enter. So I can break out and concatenate and concatenate. Let me go into the multiple lines. It'll make it a little bit easier. I'll replace this stuff. Oh, hold a second. Oh, no, because I'm accepting it afterwards. Hold on a second. I may have to take a slightly different approach. Sorry. So the value of flag, if it is true, display the word enter. Otherwise, display the word re-enter. After I accept the value of guess from the user, I can check the flag. Again, if it is, oh, sorry, I can check the condition again, which is this one. If the condition is true, then false, otherwise true. So this pretty much introduces us to event control loop. And we also were able to dynamically change enter and re-enter using the conditional operator. And this loop will continue as long as the condition is not fulfilled. As soon as the condition is fulfilled, then everything is good. No worries. Okay, everybody got this one working, done? Okay. Now, let's code a method down below on line number 31. Public static void room selection integer guests. This is outside the main, a method by itself. If number of guests are greater than equals to 10 and number of guests are less than equals to 50. So we created this method right below, right after the main. And now we are calling the room selection method to display the room name for the event. So room selection and guests. Simply run the program, you enter the number of guests. If they are invalid, it will keep asking you for the correct number of guests. Upon entering the correct value, it just tells you the room name. Okay, let me clear your feedback and give me a check mark if you're caught up this far. And also if you understood what I just did over here, because I simply tried to blend in the concepts we learned in chapter 3 with chapter number 5, and also loops from chapter 6. And while doing this process, of course, we dealt with variables and stuff like that, which is from chapter number 2. Yes. Here you go.
So if we put the flag inside the do loop, would it have cleared itself?
If you declare the variable flag inside the loop, you could very well do that as well, because the flag is only used within the loop. Yes. So I cut it out of here and I push it here. And I run my loop.
I just figured out the problem. It'll automatically set it back to true.
Right. That's it. In every iteration, it'll turn it back self to true. That's the only thing. So that's why we left it out, that we are starting with an initial of true, and then we will let the loop make the changes if possible, if needs to be. Okay. Let's see. So I think Mason and Aiden are still working on this code. I think Aiden is the only one left. Okay, Aiden got it too. Okay. Now let's scroll back up to the top. Well, let's declare some global variables here. So we'll have public static double charges equals to 0. Total equals to 0. Surcharge equals to 0. So we are using some global variables so that we can access them in more than one functions. That's all. Okay, so once we are done with that, do you guys see this minus sign next to public static void main? If I click on that, it collapses the main block. So that way, all you need is line 4, and then I'll be making some changes down here so that that makes it easier for us to concentrate. So don't think I deleted the rest of the code. Check the line numbers, 5, and then it jumps to 31. Okay. I once did that in one of my classes long time ago, and half of the class deleted half of the code. So I stopped doing it, but I thought I probably should tell you guys this. Okay. Don't delete anything. So I updated my if conditions. Because there are more than one instruction in each condition, therefore I introduced the curly braces. Let me change this to charge rate as opposed to surcharge. Let me change it to surcharge rate. I'm creating another method called calculations right after closing the room selection method. Since my variables are global, I do not need to pass them as parameters. So now when we run this program, we enter the number of guests. Right now, we're not calling calculation, so it's only prints the name. If I go back to the main method and right after room selection, I will make a call to calculations. And now when I run it, it enters the number of guests, and then it displays the rest of the information. charges before surcharge, surcharge amount, and the total. Okay. Everybody got this? Oh, let me scroll down. Uh, Aiden, Vincent, Jack, Cole is working on it. Okay. Oh, we have William join. William, when did you join? Just right now?
Yes, just a few seconds ago.
Oh, okay. You gave a green check. I was only asking for green check from those who are done with the code. So I'm pretty sure you didn't even start it, right? I mean, we did so much, I won't be pausing here for you to catch up with everything that we wrote. So just follow along with this example in terms of understanding, and maybe you can start catching up from the next example. Okay. So guys, now remember, I think I never taught you guys how to convert a value in the currency format, right? In Java?
Nope.
No, okay. Let's do that in the calculations. In Java, when they created the currency format, before you can convert that, you need to set up a local object, which means you need to tell Java which region are you looking for. So are you in USA, or you're in Britain, France, Pakistan, where you are, right? So you set up a what we call a locale object. Let's call this one US locale, and we will create an object of locale type.
Your screen is not showing
Oops,
what you're doing.
hold a second, is it not showing? Just 1 minute here. Okay. Is it showing now?
Yep.
Okay. So we set the language as the first parameter, and we set the country as the second parameter. So that's how you set up your locale string. Once you set up your locale string, you can then set up your number formatter. And let's call this one currency formatter. And we will assign to it the US locale object. So now we can use the number format object to now tap into, instead of current formatter, I'll call it currency formatter. Okay, so now you can tap into the US currency format. So you need to set up these two objects. First, your localization, which is basically what we call this in Java is the code internationalization. Code internationalization. So this is the kind of code that you can use to on the fly change things by the region. So now down below, yeah.
Sorry, real quick. My local and number format are airing out.
Did you make sure you import?
I did not see that part.
Oh,
Type in.
I use the keyboard shortcut. Remember I told you guys under source, organize import, it's a keyboard shortcut of Control-Shift-O.
I see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now let's do one, and then I will let you do the others. So I will enclose the total here, and I'll use my currency formatter object dot format. Okay. So I just enclose the total in the currency formatter dot format. So let me run this code. So let's say if I enter 56 guests and see how the total is formatted correctly in the US format. And I could very well apply the same thing down here and up here. Okay, so everybody get this? Got this working? Okay, now that we are on this subject, let's introduce a couple more classes. One of them is the currency class. Current currency object equals to currency dot get instance. Okay. And what can you do with this? I'll tell you what you can do with this. All values are in current currency dot get display name. Let's run this. 150 guests. Notice it says all values are in, and then it gives you the name of your currency. Also, let's add one more thing to the output. I'll say language and region. US locale dot get display name. So it will actually tell you language and then in the parentheses, the country. That's what you set on line 57. Let's make one brief change. I will copy line number 57 and paste it and comment out line number 57, just so that we have line 57 preserved, as well as let's use a different code. And notice all your values appear in euro. I think Eclipse is not displaying the symbol correctly. So it now treats it as the French, France, and the currency is euro. If I change it to DE, then that will be for Germany. I don't know why for France it was displaying that question mark, but works fine for Germany.
It's just playing question marks for Germany for me, but not for France.
Oh, okay.
It's weird.
But anyway, I mean, you can make those changes just like that. So just so that you know. So we went a little bit outside of your book since we were on this topic. I know I told you that I'll tell you about this, so I thought I'll tell you now. Okay, give me a green check for those of you who are done. And then we will move on to our new example. And William, then you can start that example with us. I know Jonathan is having all sorts of connection issues today. You know, I'm recording the class probably and go over the class afterwards. Waiting for Jonathan Reed to give me an okay. I think somebody else was also dropped. I don't see Vincent. Yeah, I think Vincent is not there either. Okay. So let's start a new class. In this week, in this project, William, I don't know if you have already created the project in Eclipse for today, or you're working with existing project, whatever is your setup, you can continue to do that. We will now be working with our class here called employee with the public static void main. Okay, so this is a revision from 2 weeks ago. Let's see if you can complete the overloaded constructor. So this is the default. And this is the overloaded. So code the body of the overloaded constructor. And again, whenever you guys are done coding the body, give me a green check so that I know you're done. And for those of you who are done coding the constructor, I would like you to code setter and getter for each property. So whenever you're done with the overloaded constructor, code the getter and setter. So I'm clearing the feedback. So whenever you are done with this, then give me a green check. Whenever you're done coding the overloaded constructor and all the getters and setters for all the properties. Okay, couple people are done. Rest are still working on it. Okay, we got 6 people done. Okay, we're gonna give a few more minutes. So what I just did over here is very similar to your homework, right?
Yes.
In the homework, which problem were you solving? That's due tonight? Sales?
Higher sales.
And then in what did you have to do in terms of comparison?
Compare who had the most sales and display that.
Okay, let's do something similar. Display employee name of the highest salary. So between the two objects, you compare to display the employee name of the employee that is making more money.
Could you scroll up a little bit?
How up? How much up?
Just to, like towards let's see, on mine it's like line 11. Yeah, that's good. I'm just having a weird issue. Maybe it's just this. I'll just take a screenshot real quick, that way I'm not holding anything up. Okay, I got it, thank you.
Mhm. Okay. Oh, so we have Christian also over here. Hi, Christian.
Hi.
You're a little late.
Yep, a little bit. Sorry about that.
Yeah, little bit is 1/3 of the class.
I've been having difficulties with my computer, which is why I've actually been looking at building a personal PC or a PC.
Okay. Well,
So-
I'm recording the class, so I'll make the recording available probably tomorrow, if not tonight.
Okay, thank you very much.
Uh-huh. Okay. Since we have built our examples so much, maybe you can start catching up from the next example. Okay, so to compare the two, we will check to see if the salary of employee 1 is greater than the salary of employee 2. If that's the case, then employee 1 makes more money. Otherwise, employee 2 is making more money.
Is there a downside instead of writing out all that to just say if employee 1 dot salary is less than employee 2 dot salary and then doing a print line saying who has the higher?
Say that again.
So I didn't write out all that code. I literally just put in if employee 1 dot salary less than employee two dot salary, and then I did a print statement of Kara has the higher salary. Is there a downside to doing it that way? Because it works.
Right, so you did not write the else?
I did not. No, I did not put the else in. I mean, I could put an else in, but I also didn't put the get employee or get salary and everything. I just put EMP one dot salary. instead of-
Oh, you directly tapped into the property. No, we don't want to do that. The
Okay.
reason you were able to do that because we were sitting in the same class with the main and everything. But if the main was in a different class, then you won't be able to do that because the properties are private. So that's why we want to
Okay, that's what I
take
was
this
looking for.
approach, right? Okay, so having done that, let's take a different approach here, alternate approach of displaying the output. And that will be in a system out statement, comparing the salaries of the two people with a conditional operator. So here's my comparison and a question mark. After the question mark, I have one output, colon, and then I have my other output. You guys follow what I did here? So we have the conditional operator. We're checking the condition. If that condition is true, this will be the output. Otherwise, that will be the output. Okay. So now let me run it so that you'll see two same outputs. The first one is from this block and the second one is from this block. Okay. My text is now red and yellow for different lines. Oh, did you hit the debug here? The coverage one as opposed to run employee?
Oh yeah, I did.
Okay, do this,
Yes.
maybe delete a semicolon, put the semicolon back, save the changes and just hit the run button.
Sweet. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody got this? So as you can see over here that we can use conditional operators in some places where the solution can also be done with an if condition. Now I'm creating a public static double. I should say maybe, yeah, double get value. Public static double get value. String message, kind of double min, double max. So a very simple method, a value returning method, in which we are passing parameters. Based on the parameters, it will display messages, and it will take an input from user and will return it back. And let's use this method on line number 40. I'm using it for employee one dot set salary. So I'll make a call to get value, and I'll pass the 3 parameters. Enter salary. The min range is 35,000. The max range is 500,000. So enter salary, enter a value between 35,000 and 500,000. So I enter a value 65,000, and there we get an output that Kara makes more money because Kara makes 78,484. So remember, after I coded this method, I made a call, line 40. That's important because without line 40, there's no point of writing lines 52 through 58. So make sure you get that piece done. Give me a green check when you're done. Did everybody understand this code? The reason I'm introducing all of these things over and over again, I hope you guys are not thinking that why is he repeating stuff that we did 2 weeks ago? It's only to reinforce it. So Francisco and William, I believe you guys are still working on this. Oh, Francis got it. William's still coding this stuff. Oh, you got it too. Okay. Next, let's improve this code. Since I am using double value only on one line, and this is something we learned before, I could just take line 56, copy it, replace line 57 with in.next double, and simply get rid of line 56. We'll do exactly the same job. And you can test this. Okay, so that variable is not required. However, let's undo this to bring things back the way they were, because now we will be looping through the process to make sure that the value inserted is the correct value. Okay, so let me declare val to 0 up here. And I will be pushing this stuff in a do while loop. Do while. Just changing some lines around, so follow along. If val is less than min, or val is greater than max, then we need to keep asking the user for an input. So if I enter a value that's above the range, it will ask again. Let me modify line 40. Enter salary for employee ID, concatenate that with emp1 dot get emp ID. So now let's rerun the code after you modify line number 40. And this time it'll ask for enter salary for employee ID 101. Okay. So here we were able to incorporate what we just learned today, the event handling loop right in the method down below here. And we were able to incorporate objects into it, that we are accepting a value for an object. We were able to incorporate the getter in the parameter call, and we were able to concatenate to the rest of the message. So little things that we are adding here and there, just to show you that how you can use this stuff in different ways, how you can use it for better customizations and stuff like that. Okay, does anybody has any questions so far? No? Okay, cool. How about let's take a break here till 7:35. When you come back from the break, we will then tap into chapter number 7. And then as we start learning about the concepts in chapter 7, we will then try to bring some of the stuff from the previous chapters into the examples, and we'll go like that. So I will see you guys at 7:35. So on break till 7:35. Okay, guys, welcome back.
Hello.
Hello. So right now I am opening your book. If you can also do the same. And then I'll share my screen with you guys. And I am right now starting with chapter number 7. Okay. So this chapter talks about 3 things: a character class. There's a class called character, which is a wrapper class to take care of characters, a string class, and a string builder class. And you will learn in this chapter the problems with the string class and why there is a need for a string builder class. Okay. So now let's tap into, let's look at this if condition over here in figure 7-1. What do you think goes behind the scene when we try to compare these 2 string objects? When you compare 2 string objects, it doesn't compare their values. It rather compares their memory location. Let's do an example to understand this, as opposed to going through this only verbally. So everybody, Christian, you join us in the middle of the last example, but you can do this example with us. I'm starting with a new example here. So we're going to create a new class called demo string 1 with a public static void main. So here I have a string called name1 equals to Sam. String name2 So now when I run this program, I'm asking the user to enter the name. So if I enter Sam, notice that it shows different names. Why is this showing different names when the values of both are Sam? The reason is when you use 2 equals to sign between the 2 string objects, it will compare their memory locations. So the memory location of name 1 and memory location of name 2 are not the same. Therefore, it tells you that there are different names. It doesn't really compare their values. Okay. Now, let's save this example as demo string number 2. In the demo string number 2, I will drop this scanner stuff and I will change the name 2 to Sam. So notice name 1 and name 2, they're both same values. Now run it. Does it say same name?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Right? Okay. I will explain this example after I do the next one. So let's leave this example on this output, and then we will come back to it to understand what's going on behind the scene. We will save this one as demo string number 3. So I have demo string 1, demo string 2, demo string 3. So this is the third one. In the third one, make this change and run it. And it says different names. I'll tell you what goes behind the scene when we do what we did here. So give me a green check when you guys are done with all 3 examples. Okay, now let me tell you what's going on between demo string 2 and demo string 3. Do you look at the declaration over here? I declared the 2 strings very much like I would declare primitive type variables. Like in a primitive type variable, we generally say data type variable equals to a value. We don't use the word new. We don't call the constructor. We don't do any of that stuff, right? So what happens when you treat the 2 string like this, Java, I would say compiler would look at these 2 statements and said, okay, they're declared like a variable. and they hold the exact same value. So it makes them share the memory. So it creates one memory and make both variables point to that one memory, the same memory. But when you do it like this, where the name2 actually uses the word new and then calls the string constructor, now the compiler will assign name2 a different memory location because it is asking for a new memory of type string, so their memories are different. Does that make sense to you guys? Why string2 has the same, string3 as different? Okay. So when you use the traditional approach, treating string like any other data type, if the values are same, the compiler will assign them the same memory. When you forcefully ask through a constructor, then they each get different. That's the reason that we did this. Okay, so now let's save string3 as string4. So now comes the question, then how am I supposed to compare the strings? Well, typically strings are compared like this. Every string class has a built-in function called equals, to which you pass the other string that you want to compare. So string1 dot equals name2. Now it will not compare their memory, but will rather compare their values. Christian, you have a question?
Yes, I was wondering, for my first demo string, was it supposed to be different names, and then the second demo string was same names, and then third was different names?
Absolutely. In the
Okay,
first
why
one,
was the
it'll
first
be,
one different?
in the first one, it totally is. So let's say even if I entered the same value Sam, it'll come out different because I'm coming in through accepting a value from user, right? So it'll
Okay.
be, yeah, it'll be different names. So first one is different names. Second one is same name. Third one is different name. And fourth one, if you enter the same value, then it'll be the same names. Because we're using equals, which compares the actual values and not the memory.
So in demo 2, if we change the value on one, will it change both of them?
Aha, let's see. So if I make name, name2 equals to Joe. And now let's see what name1 is. The name1 will stay Sam. You know what will happen behind the scene? If you change the name2's value to a value other than Sam, now it will allocate a new memory for name2 and will put Joe there. Do you copy? You follow that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't seem to understand what's exactly happening, like what the difference between the memory and the actual values is.
Where? Which one?
So okay, so in the first one,
Uh-huh.
let me go back to it.
Uh-huh.
The first one, you're comparing the memory locations,
Yep, it compares the memory locations. It doesn't compare their values.
and so that's why they're different.
They are different, even if you enter the same value.
Okay, and
In
then
string
for
number
string-
2,
Okay,
it is comparing their values. The reason is because when you declare the string object like a regular variable and give the same value to multiple string objects, the compiler will store them in one memory location and make both of them point to that memory location. So since their memory location is exactly the same, you are still comparing memory location, by the way. You're not comparing the values. But since they're pointing at the same memory location, that's why it says same names.
so they're putting it in the same spot because it's the same value?
Exactly. Exactly.
Huh.
But if you make one of the two call the constructor and then assign the exact same value through the constructor, now name2 is asking the compiler, even if my value matches with one of the existing string, I still want my own memory. So now when you compare name1 and name2, they have different values. Oh, sorry, they have different memories. That's why it will come out different names.
Okay, so even though it has the same value, it's asking for a different.
Yep, it
Memory
is
location.
forcing compiler to give it a different.
Why does it have the, why does it put it in the same memory location to begin with?
Only in this case, it will do that.
Okay,
Only in this case, it would do that when you would not ask for it, when you don't force your compiler to give you a new memory. So compiler only looks at the values and said, okay, instead of me allocating two different memory blocks, it will be better for me to create one block and assign both of them to that block. And that way compiler says, I'll help save memory space.
okay. All right, that makes sense now, thank you.
Okay. But if you change one of the two, so this is what we tested. We tried this, thinking that maybe name1 and name2, since they have the same memory, so changing one will change the other. No, it doesn't do that. If you give name2 a different value, let's say if we give name2 a value Joe, what the compiler will now do is this, that, okay, name2 is not Sam anymore. Name2 is Joe. So now allocates a new memory for name2 and give name2 a value in that memory. So now name2 and name1 have different memories after line 15 runs. So that's what we tested here, that changing name2 still leaves name1 as Sam. It doesn't overwrite. So they're not doing, overwriting one doesn't overwrite the other.
They're just stored in the same spot.
It now makes name2 stored in a different memory, because now name2 has a different value than name1.
Right, okay.
Okay. So the proper way to compare two strings values is to do it through the built-in function equals. Because in first three cases, it is not really comparing the value. So anytime you need to compare strings, you call the equals. You call the equals through one string and you pass the other one as a parameter. Then the body of the equals will compare both of them. Now let's save this one as number 5, demo string number 5. And let's lowercase the s of the Sam for name number 2. Do you think they will now be equal or different?
They should be different.
They should be different because it's case sensitive, right? So strings are case sensitive. Now let's save it as number 6. In the 6th version, I will call equals ignore case, which is a built-in function which ignores the case sensitivity and converts both values to all lowercase before it compares them. So now it will say same names. Okay, everybody's okay with that?
Is it right if I see 5 again?
Yes. So in 5, the only difference is I lowercase the s of Sam for name 2.
Okay, and then what was the difference in 6 again?
In 6, I kept the Sam's as lowercase and I changed my method from equals to equals ignore case, which will do a case insensitive match.
So then that should be
Same,
same name.
because yeah, it's not case sensitive match anymore.
All right.
Okay. Anybody has any questions? Okay. So that's one of the first basic things it talks about. And now let's move to the character class. The character class, which is the wrapper class, allows you to work with these methods. Have a look at these methods and their description. Everybody is okay with this? What these methods are, and we will then use them, or at least see how they're used, and then we will use in our own example. So here you can see in this figure number 7-3 that we have a character variable, a char, set to a value of C. We are displaying that this is the character we have, C, and we are using the character class is uppercase method to check to see if this character is a lowercase or an uppercase. Is uppercase will return true if it's an uppercase method, and will return false if it's a lowercase method. If it's not an uppercase method, uppercase value. And similarly, we can call is lowercase, work exactly the same way. Then do lowercase will take a character and will convert it to a lowercase. It returns a character value. That's why we are storing back in the character variable. Then we're displaying it. And then we are converting it to the uppercase. Now we are checking to see if the character is a letter or digit. That will be true because it is a letter or a digit. So that's a true. And then we are checking to see if character is a white space, which will be false. So it will say it's not a white space. Okay. Does anybody has any question about this code?
I just have a question for a scenario. So like, say I have, say I have sorry. Say I have a program and I have a string and I'm trying to look through the string and I take, how would I take each character in a string?
Wait
And then-
15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. At the moment you said I have a question, I knew what it was.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's move on to declaring and comparing string objects, which I already dealt with you what it is in the examples, demo string 1 through demo string 6. It just talks about the same stuff, how you compare with equals, and equals return a value. Now there is another method in the string class. It's called compare to. So let's say if I have a name that equals to the value Roger, if I could compare Roger with Robert, why in the world does the method returns 5? The reason is, if you start comparing letter by letter, Roger to Robert, because Roger is the value of a name, is the first letter the same between Roger and Robert? Yes. Is the second letter the same? Yes. The third letter is the same? No. How many letters is G away from B? C, D, E, F, G. Since the first name has a higher letter than the second name, that's why the difference is a positive number. If the Robert was the value of a name and I was comparing it with Roger, then the difference would be -5. Okay, let's test this. Let's save this one as demo string 7. Demo string 7. Okay. Let's say my name 1 is Saad, and my name 2 is Saab. Name 1 dot name 1 dot compare to name 2. And you'll see the output is 2. Why is the output 2? Because D is 2 letters ahead of B. Now, if I change things around and make name 1 Saab and name 2 Saad and rerun the same stuff, it'll now say -2 because B is 2 letters before D. So it just checks to see if the different letter between the 2 strings, which one's letter is before and which one's letter is after. Accordingly, it makes a decision to give you a negative number or a positive number. How can I use this? If name 1 dot compare to name 2 is less than 0, that means that name 1 is greater than name 2. Else, name 1 is less than name 2. So in our case, name 1 is greater than, oh, sorry. Oh, no, sorry. It's the other way around. My bad. If name 1 is greater than 0, it will be greater. Okay. So in our case, name 1 is less than name 2. Because Saab, B is less than D. However, if both are the same values, that's what we're going to check against next. Else if it is less than 0. Okay. Else equal to name2. And that'll be the case if I make both of them Saab. Then I'll say name1 is equal to name2, because if both string are exactly the same, then compare to will return 0. Okay, everybody got this done? Did you understand this too? Okay, we have Aiden, Josh, Spyro, Jack, Francisco, William. Okay, I think Cole and William are the only ones still working on this. Okay, Cole got it. Let's see. William, any problems, or you're fine, or if we got to put a check? Oh, okay, let's see.
I'm having a problem.
Where in demo string 7?
Yeah. I ran the code and it says that the middle output is -2.
Did you change the names? I changed both of them to Saab on lines
Oh, okay.
10 and 11.
All right. It's fixed.
Okay. So that's what the compare to method does. Moving on to page 341, you can have a null string. Null means nothing. You can create an empty string named word1 and 2 null strings and named word2 and word3 with the following statements. Empty string word1 references a memory address with no characters stored. However, the null string word2 uses the Java keyword null so that word2 does not yet hold a memory address. That's the difference. The unassigned string word3 is also a null string by default. A significant difference among these declarations is that word1 can be used with the string methods that are described so far in the chapter and beyond, but word2 and 3 cannot use any methods because they do not hold any memory yet. Even though word2 has an assignment, but it's assigned to null. That means don't allocate any memory. So anytime you assign null as a value to an object, it pretty much forces the object to not allocate any memory. So in other words, what do we call this? We call this null pointer. Means an instance that has not yet been instantiated and is pointing at nowhere. Okay. Oops, what happened here? Why can't I go to the next page? Okay. Also, there is a method called length. If you call the length method on any string, it gives you the length of the string. Now let's have a look at that here. Let's save this as demo string number 8. Why my hovers are not working? Let me close Eclipse and open it again. Maybe that will be better. Oops, I click on the wrong Eclipse. Now let me get rid of this. String sentence. John went to market. To the market to buy some fruits. Length of sentence is sentence dot. In other words, I can also say this: the length of sentence in bytes is bytes. Because either way, it just means the same thing. Each character, white space or character, doesn't matter. It holds a single byte. So right now, the length of the sentence is 43, or there are 43 bytes in the sentence. Okay, everybody got this? Now, let's go to display first character of string sentence. So in order for you to extract one character out of the string, we use a char at, and then we put the position of the character. So now it will give me that the very first letter in the sentence is John. So the position of the first letter is what? 0. So always keep that in mind. So char at takes number as a parameter and returns character on that location. First character is always at position 0. If you want to check the position number of a character, then use index of method and pass a character as a parameter. So for example, position of letter M in the sentence is sentence dot index of M. So the very first occurrence of M is on position number 17 out of 43. So it will be the M for the market, not the M in the sum. It only looks at the very first occurrence, and that's it. If the letter is not found, so if I am looking for, let's say, the letter X, and I know the letter X is not in that sentence, so it will return a value of -1. So if you're looking for a letter in a sentence, and it return, if you want to look at, check it in an if condition, you will see if the value is less than 0, then the letter not found. So I can write it in if condition like this, that if the value of the letter is less than 0, then the letter X is not found in the sentence. Otherwise, the letter X is found in the sentence at position so and so. And let's try the same one with the letter M so that you can see both outputs. M, M. There you go. So that tells you the letter X is not found in the sentence. And for the second one, the letter M is found in the sentence at position 17. So far, so good, everybody?
I'm almost done.
We're slowly getting to the Christian's question, where he wanted to get to the letters, and care@ is the solution to your question. So you go into a string and you grab a letter. Now we need to put together a few of the functions that we have learned. Which string function gives you the length of the entire string?
Dot length.
Length, okay? So what we can do is we can run a loop that goes from 0 to 1 less than the length. Why? Because the length will say that there are 43 letters, but the positions are from 0 to 42. Just remember that. The length is always the total number of characters, and positions is all the last letter's position is always 1 less the length. So we start from 0 and we go 1 less than the length in a loop. Every time we go in the loop, what do? We pull 1 letter out. Using which method do you pull 1 letter out of the string?
Caret.
Care@. And that 0 that we used on line number 8 will then be replaced by the loop variable. Okay, so let's write the very first version of the code. Line 23, for integer I equals to 0, I should be less than sends dot length and I plus plus. So we have sends dot care@ I. Will be one crazy output, guys. We'll be like, ooh, we have like 43 lines of code as an output after that. So that's basically what the output will look like. But again, this is only the step one. We'll start to fix this code one step at a time. But I want everybody to at least try this code before we start fixing it, just so that you can see how you can extract 1 letter at a time. Please give me a green check when everybody is done with this code before we start making more modifications. Okay, so I see William and Christian are the only 2 people still coding. Oh, Christian's done. Aiden's Aiden is okay. Say Aiden's away, and William is still coding. Any questions, William, or you're just coding? Okay, I don't know if he's at his desk or not. Well, so we will declare a character variable to store the character. So Every time we go into the loop, we grab one character at a time and store it in the character. Let's come up with some variables up here. Integer, letter count, digit count, space count. Okay. So if character dot is digit, then digit count should go up by 1. If character dot is letter, then the letter count should go up by 1. If character dot is white space, then space count should go up by 1. Report. Digit count. And we have got the letter count. Got the space count. So we have 0 digits in this whole sentence. We have 34 letters and we have 8 spaces. Let's add some more variables here, comma, LC count for lowercase and UC count for uppercase. So I'll be adding a couple more if conditions here. Is lowercase, then LC count plus plus. So I only have 1 uppercase letter and I have 33 lowercase letters. So that matches the letter count of 34.
Yep.
Okay. And we'll do one more. Oops. Punc count, which is for punctuation. And let me use a switch case. I haven't used a switch case today. So let's use a switch case as a revision. So let's grab the character. And then if the case equals to a period, or a case equals to an exclamation, or a case equals to a comma, case equals to a semicolon, a case equals to a question mark. Did I get all the punctuation marks in the English language? Are there more?
Apostrophe.
Apostrophe, which will be a slash. Then you will have a slash double quotes. And then you probably want to have colon. Anything else? So punc count plus plus. And then break. Frankly speaking, there isn't any default. So even if you put a default, because it's your QA team will not get you past switch without a default. So we can just use a semicolon, means do nothing. Do nothing. Your QA team will always want you to have an alternate to a condition, even though in this case you don't really need one, but still. So here we can display punctuation marks count, punc count. And we only have one because I only use one period in the whole sentence. Christian, does that answers your question that you had before?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. See, it was weight. I mean, like that you had to do, and it was worth it.
Sorry, I have a question. Where did you declare punc count? I think I missed that.
Oh, right in the same list, right after UC count.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
For your switch case, why is the punc count plus plus and the break and the default and the last semicolon, why is that all kind of jumbled up there instead of in a line?
Jumble. Oh, I mean, I could put it anywhere. I mean, I could have done punc like, because see, all these statements, all these cases are ORed, means if the value of character is this or 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 this, if any one of these values is the value of a character, I want the punc count to go up by 1. And every set of cases must end in a break.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you could put those, the punc count and the break and everything anywhere you wanted.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
yeah. And then the default only has a semicolon because we don't really want anything to be done in the alternate. I could have done this with an if condition too, but I just wanted to review switch case, and we haven't had a chance to do character switch cases, so that helps to not only review, but also review it with an example that we didn't do last week. Okay, so did everybody get a chance to run this?
Can you scroll up to your
Not
if
yet.
statements really quick? I missed the lowercase and uppercase. Oh, okay, I got it.
How do we finish the switch statement again?
Got it?
Yep.
So can you give me a green check for those of you who have this done? So,
I have an error in my switch case for some reason.
okay, check the syntax to see if you have everything correctly. Did you use semicolon? Did you use colon after each one of them, or did you use semicolon?
I did colon.
Colon, okay. Check the syntax to see if you have everything done correctly syntactically.
Let's see what the errors are. Duplicate case. Oh, okay.
So you might have, yeah, one of the cases repeated twice.
All right. I fixed it. Thank you.
Robert and William, your positions. Oh, Robert got it. And William also got it. Okay. Okay, guys, now let's start a new one. File, new class. This will be demo string 9. String name 1 equals to Jack Thompson. Check. Does the name 1 starts with the letters Jack? So name 1 dot starts with Jack. So your answer comes out to be true because it does starts with Jack. Now let me try to uppercase or lowercase the J for Jack. And now the output comes out to be false because it's case sensitive. Does the name one ends with the letters sun? Ends with sun. Ends with sun. So the first one is true. The second one is false. So this is how you can convert any string to any case. So now, after converting the entire name to lowercase, of course, SON will also be lowercase. So the name one does ends with SON, sun, in all lowercase. But when I converted the entire name to an uppercase and I checked it against with SON, it now comes out false because it is not SON with uppercase anymore. Extract part of the name. Name one dot substring 6. So notice it only grabbed Thompson because the first letter is 0. So 0, 1 is Jack, 2 is C, 3 is K, 4 is a space, 5 is a T. So H is basically the position number 6. If I want to read the entire Thompson, I'm going to do it at 5. Let's leave it at 6 for now. Let's do another one. 0 to 4. So 0 to 4 is Jack. So it starts at 0. So if I do it at 3, you'll be like, okay, it'll be 0, 1, 2, 3. Nope, it only goes to like a third letter. So you have to go all the way to the 4th letter. You got to use 4. So starting at 0, grab the 4 letters. So let me change this to 3 for now. A question, guys. What is the separator between the first name and the last name?
White space.
Very good. In Java, which method will I use to get the location of the white space?
Caret.
Is white space.
No, I need to know the location of the white space. Caret will not tell me the location. Caret will take the location and will tell me the character. I want to give the character and get the position. We just did that, and not in this example, but the previous one.
Is white space?
No, no, no. Is white space is only telling you if it is a white space or not. It is not telling you the position of the white space.
Index of.
Very good. Index off. So if I go back to the previous example, remember the index off? The index off takes a letter and it gives you back the position of that inside a string. So I need to know the position of the white space so I can use the substring to start from the 0 and go up to that white space, and that'll be my first name, right? So string f name equals to name1 dot substring. So instead of reading everything from the string, I'll say, okay, I'll start at 0 and I'll go name1 dot index off the white space. So that'll be my first name. Okay, let's run it. Okay, got it, the jack? What should I do to display the last name?
Index of to I don't know, string length.
String length will going to give me everything. I don't want everything. I mean, like a string length will give me nothing. Because where does the last name starts?
So we don't need a second number.
Yeah, so you basically say, I want to start reading from the index of +1. Okay, so index of is a space before the last name. So that's why we are doing +1 to start from the first letter of the last name. Is everybody with me so far? I just want to make sure that everybody is done with this one. Give me a green check. William, still coding or are you done? Okay, got it. Okay. Now I'm going back to your book. I am now going to page 353, which talks about the string builder and the string buffer classes. The string builder and the string buffer classes are introduced because strings are immutable. What in the world is immutable? Immutable means, let me explain to you. You don't need to do this code, the one that I'm about to do next. It's only for testing purpose. So to help you understand the code. Let's say if I have a string object called name1 and I assign it a value Saad. Few lines down, I say name1 equals to Amy. Then I have another object name2 set to Tom. And I say name1, now you are equal to name2. Okay. Behind the scene, you know what really happened? Name1 in these 4 lines change 3 memory locations. So when name1 was initialized with the word Saad, it was in 1 memory location. When the Amy came, this is how string works. Its previous memory location was abandoned. A new memory location was created with Amy, and name1 started pointing there, while Saad was still there in a memory untouched. Now, when name1 was assigned to Tom, now Amy was untouched. A new memory location where name1 started pointing is where name1 and name2 were referring to the same value. So there are 2 memories that were out there waiting for the garbage collector to come in and pick him and clear it off. So if a name1 is in a loop and every cycle changes its value and a loop runs for 1,000,000 times, you have 1 less than 1,000,000 memories untouched out there, allocated. You see the problem with strings? They don't expand in the same location. Every new value is a new memory, while they leave the old memory for the garbage collector to come and clear it off. Is everybody following this? Okay, so to solve this problem, as I told you, I don't need tests. I'll be deleting tests. I was just trying to show you. So to solve the problem with string builder and string buffer classes were introduced because they are mutable, means they are changeable in the same memory location. Then what's the difference between the 2? The classes are identical except for the fact the string builder is more efficient, is faster. Where string buffer is thread safe, means that if like this is something that you will learn in advanced Java, where you will create multi-threaded application. Right now, you're creating a single threaded application. Thread is a lightweight process where you can take your application and break it up into smaller, more manageable processes, which could run at the same time on multiple processors. You can write those kind of applications in Java. So string buffer is thread safe, which means that you should use it in applications that are running multiple threads. Otherwise, there's no point of using them because they are a memory hog compared to string builder. So a string buffer and string builder are both mutable. They expand in the same memory location. String builder and string buffer cannot be created like strings. You cannot say string builder object equals to a new value. You can't do that. The only way to initialize it with a value would be to take an approach like this. String builder message equals to new string builder, and then you give it a value. Okay, make sense? And string buffer will be the exact same way. You can assign a string to a string builder as well. So you can instantiate a string object, take an input from the keyboard, and pass that as a parameter to the constructor of string builder. And that's how you can initialize a string builder with a string. That's also something that is acceptable and doable. Or you can directly take an input and assign it to the string builder. All of these are valid operations, okay? Now let's have a look at this code. String builder, name string, initialized with the word Barbara. What is the length of Barbara? How many letters make up Barbara?
7.
7, okay. So what's the length of the string builder right now?
Wouldn't it be 6?
It'll be
if it starts
7.
with 0? Oh, 7.
It'll be 7. So there are 7 letters, it's 7. However, what happens is that in string builder, there's a special method called capacity. Capacity always is X number of extra letters on top of what you already have. So what is the difference? If you look at the output down below, what is the capacity? 23. If you subtract 7 from 23, what's left over? Plus
16.
Okay, so 16 is the buffer that it builds. Okay, now let's go up. We are creating another string called address, to which we're storing the value 6311 Hickory Nut Grove Road. That's the value we store in this address. And we check the capacity of address. So what is the capacity here? 43. Now, what's the length of this address? Can you tell me the length? How many letters are here?
$27.
So what's the difference between 27 and 43? Yes, guys? The difference of letters, it's like the difference. Say it again?
16.
16. So it keeps that 16 as a buffer there. Okay. So the capacity is 43. Now what happens is if I say I want the name to be printed, the name is the name string, and notice the output. You see all these spaces after Barbara? That's part of the capacity stuff, which is extra 16 on top of 7. Okay, now it is quite possible for you to chop a string builder by saying that I want to chop the address to the length 20. So what happens, how many letters did we count it? 27, right? So the last 7 will be removed. So as a result, the remaining will be 6311 Hickory Nut Grove. That's left. The rest is chopped. So all of these things can only be done with mutable strings, which are string builder and string buffer. You cannot do this with a regular string. Okay. So that's one thing. Okay. Now, let's go back to Eclipse and let's create an example that worked with string builder. So let's create a new class called demo string builder 1. Okay. So now I will create the string builder with the word singing. Okay. So right now, that's what the string is what the word singing. Now, add some text to the end of the string builder object. So I cannot just say plus equals to. This is not a string. So I'll say str dot append and you can see that I was able to add the text towards the end of the string. Now add some text to the start of the str. So to put something in the start, we use insert, and 0 means the very first letter, and I want to add this word. And now let's check the string. And the output is up. Okay. Now the word black is next to the word singing because we never left any space there. Okay. Now, add some text in the middle of the str. So we will still use insert, but now I'm using a position 5. So that means at the 5th character, so it becomes now what? Blackbird. And let me add a space here after the word bird. Okay. And then if I add my last word, night, then as I display this, it will be blackbird singing in the dead of night. That was, anybody knows who sung that song?
The Beatles.
Yay!
Yeah, the Beatles' Blackbird.
Yes.
Gonna be stuck in my head all night now.
Well, I didn't give you the tune.
Yeah, but I sang it.
Okay. Uh, okay. So I would like you guys to look at this week. Go under this week's button and refresh it now. If you were already there, just refresh the button for this week. You have a chapter 7 review or a quiz. And then you have a new assignment. This new assignment is actually based on last week's assignment. So I want you to read the problem and the steps and let me know if you have any question.
So for some reason I'm not following. What does string builder do?
String builder, what do you mean? What does it do?
For some reason I couldn't hear you while you were explaining what it is.
Oh, string builder is another class like string. The only difference is that string is immutable, which means every new assignment to the string class is assigned to a different memory location. So if you have like 7 assignment to the same string object, it will have 6 memories untouched sitting in the memory waiting for the garbage collector to be picked up and cleaned. Where string builder allows you to expand in the same memory. It doesn't keep allocating new memories for every assignment.
Okay, so string builder kind of like it gets rid of what's there and then replaces it with.
Yeah, so in the same memory, it can change value, right? It doesn't go for new. That's why it always keeps a little buffer for expansion. And it just keeps expanding or contracting in the same memory. Whereas string on every assignment goes and grabs a new memory.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so anybody has any questions about the assignment number 5? I didn't, Aiden. I never did that. Okay, so no questions? All good? Okay, then. That's all for tonight, guys. Make sure that if you are still falling behind on previous stuff, to catch up, turn in stuff before it gets overwhelming. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Some of you.
Have a good night.
Have a
You
good
too.
week.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye. Night.
Have a good night.
You too, Christian. Bye.